Hi, this is Silvia of Colorful Foresight, and here we have Dance with Angela.
Hi.
So today's pretty special. We're going to pray over good politicians. However, we have to let go who we think that is, because the universe or God or source knows who they are. So even though I have particular in mind who I think are good, I'm going to let it go. So just see them as light with hands and feet. And this is for everybody around the world, all the politicians around the world. Hi, Patty.
Hi, Patty.
So we're going to talk a little bit first, and then toward the end, we're going to pray. But just to know that after 24 hours or a few days, depending how I feel guided, that last piece will be removed. And the reason why is sacred. The prayer is sacred. So if you're watching this video afterwards and that piece is missing, then you just personally imagine, the world and all the good politicians are coming, are getting well protected. They come with solution and they work well with we the people. And we let that go, who that is, though. We let the light, they know best. So anything else you want to add?
Well, I wanted to ask about why are we praying for the leaders? What's the purpose of doing that?
The purpose is they are good and they're not good. So we want to make sure the one that doing the right thing to benevolent are extra protected. We want to see them protected. And originally I was going to say let's pray for the dark politician, but not be not do like energy work or Reiki. This is beyond. We're asking the light to take care of it. You don't mess with that kind of energy. But Angela was very uncomfortable with that. So I changed it to we're just focusing on the good politician and that they come with solution. But she'll briefly mention why she was uncomfortable with that. That's something that's advanced, Go ahead, Angela.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you again about why we're praying for leaders versus the world as well, because that's an important distinction.
The leaders, because it seems like we're in a time where there seem to be it seems like there's a lot of chaos, and it seems like there's a lot of it's a lot of it's just everything is political at this time, and we want to make sure we keep freedom and we want to make sure we attract good leaders and that good leaders work together. And without going in detail, you can see that a lot of like not so great leaders that are aiming to take over. So that's why we're focusing. And we're focusing on that because even at us, we get in habit and get hooked into the drama of watching all the negative. So we're contributing that we are a solution. And we don't know what that looked like. We leave it but that's our focus. Just to focus alone, like, oh, we're going to send good politicians. But remember, without who you think is good. So we just see like a lot of light. We're going to just see leaders as this light body with hands and feet. So we're not attached to it. And we have the compassionate light, but you might have Archangel Michael. Each one of you have different. So Patty is asking, hi, Teresa. Please explain what benevolent means for people that don't know what that means. Angela, you want to add?
Yeah, so benevolent comes from another teacher that Silvia and I watch, and he was using that language for the most kind and the best outcome. So in my work, I normally, when I pray for the highest good, so that's a similar energy. Benevolence is kindness or the highest, most gentle way is what that teacher is using for benevolent. In my experience with prayer, it's for the highest outcome, which is from the eyes of spirit, not from the eyes of what we think is meant to be the best outcome. And touching on, and let me know, Patty, if that makes sense with the benevolent outcome, because we can just say that the light, when we do the prayer at the end, the light is controlling that outcome because we may not know what the best outcome is. And that's why we say the most benevolent outcome or the highest good. So I was going to share on why we pray for leaders. And Patty, this is interesting because you're a leadership coach. But because there is a new leadership that is trying to be birthed on our planet. And Silvia, you do it through the Political Enlightenment series. What are enlightened leaders? But we come from a history of humanity where we've seen leaders who are good leaders, that we think they're good, or they represent good, like a Martin Luther King, or I'll say Gandhi as well, because Gandhi's enormous for me, but they don't necessarily, their legacy doesn't sustain. So people who are trying to bring good things on the planet, or Jesus, or those leaders as well, how do we sustain that legacy as a collective? So everybody comes together as one and follows that for the best and the highest good of humanity in the most benevolent way, the most gentle way, or the most harmonious way. You know, a little bit of conflict, that's natural, but wiping each other out is the worst outcome. So conflict is okay. How do we all come together and bring forward this new leadership, which may not be a leadership that we've seen on Earth before? And when we're looking at good and bad leaders, even in a bad leader, there's an element that is working for a part of humanity that may feel unheard, disregarded, ignored. What else might they may feel alienated? So even with the bad leaders, they get followers who believe in them. So we have to speak to that part of humanity which actually looks at the leaders that we might think from the personality level are bad. What are they actually doing for the collective? They might be speaking for a certain part of the collective. They might be expressing a fear for the collective, which we may all have that fear. And how do we actually get the leaders that we might think are bad to work in harmony with the other leaders? Because if leaders are not working in harmony, what happens is our planet starts to be a place of chaos continuously. And Silvia, you've done a lot of work with the Political Enlightenment series where you looked at the importance of we the people praying for our leaders or focusing on the best outcome for our leaders. Because if we blame our leaders, that's one of the biggest problems we're facing right now. A lot of us who are not in leadership in government, instead of us being a leader in our lives, we just whinge. In Australia, we whinge. Or there's another worse word than that. We create more dark. We create more bad thoughts, negative experiences, and we project that on the leaders. And that they actually feel that, and that makes them become more in a disharmonious manner.
And just because they're leaders doesn't mean they don't need support. There have been some leaders that maybe quit or got kicked out because they were struggling. What would happen if they had more support without all that negative complaining and all that? Maybe, that inspiration, they couldn't continue on and created more solution. So because it's very trying time, also spiritual leaders, you mentioned like Gandhi, Martin Luther King was actually more on a political level, but you don't have to be spiritual or Gandhi-ish, but we may see that at this time with political leaders. They could be like that. They could have that kind of energy. So
Gandhi was in politics. Gandhi
that's
was.
right. That's right. Yeah. So, she had to remind me, but that's true. That's true. Now, maybe also they don't have to be a martyr type. this time
Yeah.
around, I would like part of that protection is that it's not about being a martyr. It's about them living a long time as well. Not that leaders in the past always, some of them have gotten killed, or they have to be like, they have to do very extreme things in order to be heard. Like Gandhi, he didn't eat toward the end or something. So, and also, I think that's pretty good. So we're going to, if anybody have questions, you may ask before we continue. Do you feel like you want to add anything before we do prayers?
I wanted to ask about the Aquarian age and the Piscean age, because the sacrificial part, or the martyr, is that very Piscean energy, like from Jesus. And one of the reasons maybe that he wasn't successful as a leader was that we identified with sacrifice and martyrdom as a great thing. And what I learned from your Political Enlightenment series, Silvia, was so many of the cards in the tarot, you look at that, what that means for this new leader, it's so inspirational. It's funny, Patty, because you've got coaching for inspiration. How do we lead through inspiration and coming together, being thinking about the collective, not saying we have to lose something in order to gain something, or you have to sacrifice something. And I think Gandhi did do some things like that. I think Gandhi was a good example of how to inspire people to come together, even
And
though he
I'm
did.
glad you reminded me that it was actually political, because I forgotten for a second. You know what I mean? Because he was so spiritual, but the whole movement, even the Dalai Lama, and there'd been a lot of like spiritual people who went political. But again, you don't have to be spiritual. We're just asking that they be able to actually, and besides them being protected, we're going to ask that they feel supported. I think I mentioned already that we, the people, and the politicians work well together. This may be a new way of being going forward. You mentioned the Aquarian age. No more of that sacrifice thing. Finishing up that cycle.
Okay.
That would be nice. Anything else you want to add before we pray?
Oh, I just wanted to check with Patty's comment, leaders having support and good advice from good people. That for me in the Aquarian age is us coming together to share good ideas that are for the benefit of everybody. Because in the past, we were thinking what's good for one country. And in your prayer, or our prayer today, we're looking at the globe. And we haven't really thought about the globe politically outside of money. There's a lot of that, what was that whole global trade agreements, and it was all about money and resource management. We haven't actually thought about the collective in terms of happiness or joy. We haven't thought about what is good for the people. We haven't really seen that when I watched your Political Enlightenment series, a lot of the images you gave me were almost like, oh my God, I haven't thought about that before, about the collective happiness of the people. It wasn't an image in my brain because a lot of our movies don't show that.
I was going to say, like, even with you making a good point, even with, politician, all politicians are bad. That's the story that we use. Not that it's not untrue, but it could also be that the politician who want to do the right thing, because you don't have to be good or bad for that, but they like to do the right thing, to benevolent in nature. Sometimes they're being suppressed. Sometimes they're not getting the right support. And I think we could change that story. So we're not saying, oh, there's no good politician or all politicians are bad, but we would like to start witnessing or using that storyline where they are for benevolent, and we change the story of modernism to longevity. It would be nice if they had longevity. Well, even if they did like the full 8 years or the full 4 years, and that continued to the next politician and so forth and so forth. But particularly at this time frame, we're seeing a lot of chaos with uh, many countries. So that's part of why we're doing this. So I'm going to be showing the world map. And let's see. You should be able to hear me as we do this. Are you seeing the whole map?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we got the whole world. And at first I'm going to say let's go from the top to the bottom. But just for this, we're going to imagine Angela and I are going to use the great compassionate light. But you can imagine Jesus, God, Archangel Michael. You might have other type of divinity that has the same kind of energy as Archangel Michael, the protective thing. Remember, we're asking for protection, support, that we witness more benevolent politicians, and we the people work together starting today. So we're going to see a light in this whole globe, and we're going to see the benevolent politicians in like a light body, but their hands and feet, you can see that. We're not going to put any specific idea who that could be, because the divine or the universe knows way better who that is. And also, it gets us out of our head and out of our ego. So now imagine, and Angela will talk with me. She'll lead with me because she's very good at it. Just to remind you that after this live, you're going to see the globe, but after this live, the prayer part will be removed because there's sacredness. When you do prayer, there's sacredness. So if you don't see it, you can still pray what we just said the last 2 minutes, what I just said the last minute or two. So Angela, would you like to lead?
No, I think you're doing a great job, Silvia.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So we're gonna see the whole world in a light. It's a very compassionate light divinity. And we'll see the right kind of support that they receive from from this pure energy that is very compassionate. It's very wise and knows exactly what to do. It's saying the politician and we, the people, can work together in the most gentle, quick ways, starting today and going forward. From every corner of the earth, every country is ruled by a politician or a leader of sort. So there's so many. We want these benevolent leaders not only to feel protected and supported, but that they are inspired and motivated. The compassionate light knows exactly what to do. You are important because when you work in groups, the group energy is more stronger than if you do individually. Even the one that are watching the video after and praying, you are a part of that collective. Oh, they're not going to know about it because I'm going to remove the video. However, they're going to be adding to that collective energy. So what did that look like to have the wish fulfillment of the world leaders from every corner of the earth feel supported? What it looks like is we're going to start witnessing news where politician comes with solution. We're going to witness where less talk about or less complaining and more support to politicians that are doing the right thing for all. The world will feel more lighter and brighter. When there are challenges, we'll be able to be on top of it. The world is family, right? Especially with technology, we are very able to connect and help each other more quickly. Is there anything else you want to add, Angela, to that? What that would look like?
Oh, I really just saw when you said that we come up with solutions, that miracles happen and we begin to see and recognize those quick solutions can come into place, like alternative energy that solves problems on a large scale for us collectively as a species. And we're
Now,
able to manage those things now, those problems like climate and other resource management. And we find those miracles are solving our global problems from enlightened leaders.
beautiful. Now, from here forward, this is the piece where we're sending light, and this is the piece where it gets sacred. And this is the piece that will be removed after a day or so. So you have seen all the way up to this point. So you have an idea, if you're watching the video afterward, what it's about.